Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So part 2 of the chapter number 7, building market competitive compensation system. So in the first chapter, we did two things. Mainly, we tried to understand why we want to have this, the market competitive strategy. So we discussed about company, and our aim is to have a company compensation policy. So we discussed that we need to have a strategies, okay, and why we need to have a strategy. That was one question. Then how we will get the strategy done. So by strategy, I mean that we need to make a plan. So this plan has to be applied in the future. So 12 months, future 12 months. So we're looking at that thing also. And then we looked at 4 activities that we do to get things done at the strategy part. We did the strategic analysis was there. Then we try to integrate whatever we gather from our collection of data, integrate that with our internal thing. And then in the end, we come up with a compensation policy that is an advantage. Now this session is basically all about statistical part of all that. All right. I'm not good in statistics, so but still we'll cover a few bits here. It has 4 main objectives. This lesson has the importance of calculating competitive salaries, why we calculate them, statistical analysis of compensation service. So that's what we discussed, and the last 2 are kind of the same objectives of previous part 1. However, now in this time we'll discuss some statistical applications here. So objective number 1, the importance of calculating competitive salaries. So the salaries of your staff should never be viewed as an expense, but as an investment. All right, that's the first thing that we have to keep in mind. It's not that something is going out to them and there will be no return. All right, there will be a return, and that return will be doubled. All right, it will be 2x or 3x or 4x. All right, however, that double could be in a different form. It's not just the money. However, stakeholders are always looking for the money, but over here, we want to make sure that it's our brand is recognized, or in the environment, people recognize us that as a good employer. We want to retain employees, and we want to attract best people from the market also. So it's not just that it's an expense, all right? Now, another saying that I came across was a good perspective is to see employees as an appreciating asset. Understand? So sure, they may start off as a cost to the company at the start, but satisfied employee who love what they do become more valuable over time. All right, as they acquire new skills, knowledge, and experience, they become more valuable to the organization. So why competitive pay for employees? Now, there are some things that as a compensation managers or HR directors, we need to have in our mind, okay, why I'm doing this. So there must be some clarity here. Invest in your people. So that's number one thing. We want to make sure that we are investing in our people, all right? Let's approach the issue at a positive angle. A competitive salary package incentivizes employees to do their best for the organization. And this way we promote staff and encourage loyalty. Talent might stay for pay. Talent might stay for pay. So if you have experts, professionals working in your organization as managers, as directors, as even in employees, low level, medium level, if they are talented and if you give them good salary, competitive salary, all right, they will stay. This could be a logic behind it. You get what you pay for. And in case you pay more, the employee will be highly motivated, high morale person, and he will be will be working for you, like from heart. However, on the opposite side, if in case you are not paying them well, and they understand that they are underpaid compared to the market, they might not work up to the highest potential of their own. So there is a thing that one has to think about: the hidden cost of paying less. So what is that? Now the thing is, if you are paying less and you have a talented person, they are they are recruiters, they are headhunters around, and they can actually, knowing what's happening, they can get your people very easily. Now these days, especially, LinkedIn has become a platform where headhunters are actually just looking for some passive, let's say passive candidates. We call it passive candidates. They're not looking for jobs per se, but headhunters are looking for such people who are experienced, knowledgeable, in a position. Another organization is also looking for such people, and they can attract through cost. All right. Keep in mind, hiring has more cost. If you lose a person, you're losing a lot of things here. Okay, that's a hidden cost. If someone is going, resigns and joins another organization, you have lost a big position here. So these are the like 4 reasons that I can come up with, that why we want to have a competitive pay for employees. Now, underlying objective number 2, as I was saying now, statistical analysis of compensation survey. So we collected data through different forms, different areas, whether we try to get it from let's say ourselves, creating surveys ourselves, or through association, professional association, and producing some data that we can use about the market, about different positions, different roles in that industry, in that domain. We get the data from them, or it's a government thing. Last time I gave a government example, BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics website. I was showing that on my lecture also. And that actually gave you a lot of things that you can use. Now, we gave an example of small business, all right? So in a small business, why this is important, why this topic becomes important. So let me just read through it. Suppose a small company with moderate cash resources is establishing a pay plan. Now, when we say the plan, it's the strategy, it's the future, all right? It's a next 12 months period. So you give a salary to a person, that salary will stick with that person for next 12 months, or even in the middle, if the market changes, there's inflation, there's a GDP thing, and there's so even right now, it's like coronavirus happening, or you will actually go with the market. Will give this, you go with the market. If the market increases something, you will also increase. The plan might look like something like this for a small business. Pay a competitive base salary, not an aggressive one, but a salary comparable to what an employee could get somewhere else. That it could be one plan. All right. You're paying him a salary that if he goes somewhere else, he'll receive the same salary. All right. Number 2, offer equity in the company to all employees so that they can reap the rewards of the company. So stocks, let's say. So if the company is doing pretty good, so whatever company has a profit end of the year, it will be shared. So you actually give them some shares of the company, offer equity in the company, some shares in the company. Now, number 3 is be aggressive in total overall compensation through the use of incentives. All right. Now, what we mean by incentives here? So over here, I give you an example here. If, for example, an employee is below market by $20,000 in base pay, if someone is getting less than 20,000 less than other person in different organization for same position, how you actually cover that up? Deliver market parity via 5,000 signing bonus. So if he signs a contract with you, you give him extra 5,000 immediately. Immediate on the signing of the contract, $5,000 given. A 5,000 retention bonus, loyalty. Let's say he stays for the company with 5 years. After 5 years, you give him a bonus $5,000 and a $10,000 incentive. All right. Incentive program should be designed so that high performance people get high compensation. All right. So benefits. We're talking about the perks here. All right. So we can have a salary including all that. All right. It not necessarily if someone is getting a $30,000 somewhere else and it doesn't have the 5,000, 5,000 and 10,000. Understand? So eventually, indirectly, you're helping the person to get to that salary. All right. Now, survey data characteristics, because it's very important, we collect data from the service. Now, the problem with the service is, or statistics is, data is a lot of data is there, and compiling becomes very difficult thing. If you're not a statistician, like myself, I'm not a statistician, it will be a very difficult part. They contain a lot of data, outdated data due to lag time. Maybe the data that we are getting is 6 months old, maybe 12 months old, maybe 2 years old. It's outdated. And statistical analysis needed to integrate internal job structures with external market. So when we are doing analysis of that data, we need to involve our internal pay system with external pay system in that, let's say, Excel sheet, in that analysis, so that when the results are compiled, we get a figure that we can actually use as a decision that, yeah, this is nice. All right. So in statistical analysis, now we're jumping into a little bit detail here.
Sunny.
So two ways in statistical analysis that we use, two basic ways. We call it descriptive properties here, and you might know it more than I do. Okay, so one we call central tendency, another is variation. All right. So as a center thing, so if you have lots of values given to you from the data you collected from a lot of from different sources, now we want to find out what's the middle ground here, what's in the middle here. All right, so we call that central tendency. So that's a main average that we want to find. And another is variation. So variation means the spread, the dispersion. Okay, so that's like, so central tendency represents the fact that set of data center around a central point, whereas variation represents the amount of spread or dispersion in a data set. So what is descriptive statistics? Measure of central, measure of dispersion. And when it talking about measure of central tendency, we have to look for mean, median, mode, all three of them, very basics. And when it comes to the dispersion, like the spread, we look at the range, interquartile range, standard deviation, and variance. All right. So most probably you all know more than I do about the statistical figures. So what we have on central tendency, as I said, that is the arithmetic mean, median, and mode. So they have, each of them has a formula, right, that you use. Now, and why we do this? We want to have a middle ground here. What it is in the middle, okay? So we want to. There are lots of figures, figures that is coming from different data that we collected, and now we want to have a medium here. So arithmetic, their formula, as I said, that for example, arithmetic mean, if you want to find mean the average, sum of salaries, sum of all the salaries that we have, divided by number of salaries, all right? Represents typical market salary. It gives you a market salary for that particular position, all right? So let's say you have 10 companies that you collected data from 10 companies on the role of receptionist. The salary for 10 people, and you add them all together and divide by the 10, okay, figure, and then you give them market salary. That's the average. Median, middle value of the sequential numerical data, so midpoint in those 10 values, for example, 5 and 6. 5 and 6 becomes the median. 5 and 6 divided by 2, so that's the median value of that salary that you can actually give for that receptionist position. The mean, now in the mean, you also find outliers. Outliers can distort values. Understated means occurs with extremely small outliers, may set salaries too low. Overstated means occur with extremely large outliers, may set salaries too high. We are avoiding outliers completely from our data, all right? We want a linear thing, or we want something, something close, all right? So we want that to happen. Variations, now what we mean by variations here. So variations are basically standard deviation, quartile, and percentile, all right? So variations are spread that we were looking for, all right? Now the spread, okay? So if you see in the small figure here, what I've given you, the green line, high variability, the spread is there. Now, this means that this person is getting very high salary, but these people are very low also. They're not high, many people. Maybe this is CEO we're talking about, right? CFO we're talking about. Medium variable, little high. So the spread is a bit on this blue side, blue line here. So these are like managers could be, and low variable could be the employees here. So that's like a difference here. Standard deviation refers to the mean distance of each figure from the mean quartile percentile of figures below a point based on 4 groupings. So basically, if you have, let's say, 10 data sets, then you actually divide those 10 into 4 parts, and then from 4 you try to find the percentile here. Percentage of figures below a point based on 100 groupings. Okay, so yeah, quartile is like this. Dispersion by percentage below a set value. So for example, if we had these values 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 values were here. So Q1 lower quartile, upper quartile, and this is the median here. Q1 quartile is 25%, quartile 2 50%, 75%, quartile 4 100% data that is given. I'm not going in detail here because this is beyond my own thing. However, if you need more instructions on those, I'll upload special videos for that also. Consumer price index, CPI indexes. So this is also giving us an indication that how much salary we can give, how much the consumer power is, and again the data coming from various websites. Indexes monthly price changes in goods and services. So if something happening in the domestically, if some prices are going up, we have to adjust our salaries also. Now, learning objective number 3, integrating the internal job structure with external market pay. So we know that our internal pay structure is in place. We studied the external market also. Now we mix them together. We integrate them together. All right. We do regression analysis for that. Okay, so we have like over here variables. So we make sure that we see that there is a dependent variable on independent values. Okay, so we look at that. We call it regression analysis. Statistical procedure designed to find the best fitting line between two variables. So it's x-axis and y-axis, and we look this is dependent on independent thing. So that we're looking for, and then we predict. Regression analysis use of prediction. All right, so we want to predict the value. Okay. You do that. R square is explaining variation in market pay rates via job structure. All right, so different job structures are there for different organizations, and we use that also. Learning objective number 4, compensation policies and strategic mandates. Now, after doing all the statistical part, now comes the main thing. Now, what the strategy we want to have. Okay, we get the data, we analyze the data. Now we have to write down the strategies. Okay, so compensation policy and strategic mandates. Now there are 2 types here. One is pay level policies, another is pay mix policies. All right, so pay level policies there are 3 types here. All right, market lead, market lag, and market match. Now market lead means that you're paying more than the market. All right, levels above market pay lines, best for differentiation strategy. So it's unique. This organization is giving more than anyone else in the industry. So this will attract newcomers. This will retain the top talent. So that's like market lead. However, there have to be a cautious say. You cannot give them more salary if your business is not doing good also. Market lag, you're kind of behind. All right, levels are below the market lines. In this, the problem might be that people will lose you. The turnover might be high. All right, so, and they will say that whenever the new opportunity comes in, better opportunity comes in, I'll just go. I'll just leave here. Best for lower cost strategies. Okay, so you not want to spend more money here. All right. Market match. All right, so that's like pay according to the market line, appropriate with differentiation strategy. All right. So you're not actually going beyond the market value, you're not going below, you're on the middle ground here or close to the middle ground here. And it's appropriate for differentiation strategy. Like, slight uniqueness is there, all right? And this is just an example in the graph, like what we have done is accountant 1, accountant 2, and accountant 3. Differentiation is there, pay policy levels, okay, annual salaries here. So it's like differentiating with each other. Like accountant 1 is getting 33, accountant 2 is getting 36, market pay lines are going higher, accountant 3 is getting 45. Now, so their salary has been increased because of job evaluations is there, and so again, it depends. All right, for accountant 1, maybe it's is working in a company which is cannot afford to give a lot of money, and accountant 2 company, they're in the market, okay, not high, not low, it's in the middle, and accountant 3 is getting really high. This organization is like KPMG or PricewaterhouseCoopers or Deloitte's, all right, so they're giving quite a good salary. And the other example. Now, pay mix, what we mean by pay mix? Pay mix policy refers to a combination of core compensation and employee benefits components that make up an employee total compensation package. So you mix the benefits together, you mix the indirect and direct, the financial part and non-financial part. When you mix them together, we call it a pay policy mix. Okay, so maybe as we did it an earlier example here. All right, so pay policy mix may be expressed in dollars or other currency as relevant, or as a percentage of total dollars allocated for an employee's total compensation. Okay, so we mix them together. Maybe if I go back here, maybe my salary is 33. That is base. All right, that is base. However, the other benefits that I'm getting, maybe a house I'm getting, all right, maybe health insurance I'm getting from the organization, maybe some other things I'm getting, and in total maybe I get around 36. All right, so that's like a pay mix policy. That's an example of pay mix policy. Over here, just given an example, but this comparison between CEOs here. All right, so 71% is long-term incentive that they get, annual incentives, the red part, and the salary is a base salary 16%. But when it comes to 100%, this annual incentives and long-term incentives adding up to the salary gives 100%, right? And similarly over here is the same. So we have 17% annual incentives, long-term and 71% for both, and salary is just 12%. But 100% salary, when you add up all them together, so it gets a big package. You get a big package for a CEO. All right, so that's part number 2 of chapter number 7. Thank you very much for listening. All right, I hope it cleared a few doubts. If you don't still have something, you can always ask me on the email and other stuff. Okay.